Hi there. My name is Jack Fogelquist, and I'm a mechanical engineer from Scotts Valley, California. Growing up in the Santa Cruz area, I got really into mountain biking. There's an awesome scene there. I loved everything about it. Loved being out there in the redwoods with my friends. And um, Going to high school, I went to Scotts Valley High School. Um, I was just obsessed. I was riding all the time, and towards the end of high school, I was really fortunate to start getting some sponsorships and to start competing professionally. And that spiraled into this really exciting next 4 years of all sorts of competitions, traveling around North America. I got to work as a mountain bike coach. We got to do some really cool video projects. It was a really, really exciting time. Um, and I was totally kind of living my dream. It was a total dream come true, and I didn't really have any aspirations to go to college. I didn't really see a need, and my parents had been super super supportive the whole time, and their kind of one request was that I at least keep a hand in college. Keep maybe just take a semester a year at community college at Cabrillo, um, and then I could train in the winter and compete in the spring and summer, and the cycle would repeat. So I thought that was very reasonable, and I just started taking general ed classes at Cabrillo. Um, and after about 4 years, I kind of had this wake up call where it was specifically after this particular crash and this injury, but I'd had a number of injuries up to that point, and it was really starting to become clear that the mountain bike thing wasn't a sustainable career. It was a ton of fun. I'm so grateful for the opportunity, but it wasn't something that I'd be able to do for the long term. And so I decided to kind of shift and focus 100% on school and pursue an engineering degree at Cabrillo. And so as far as selecting a major, I wasn't really sure what to study. I started just kind of taking some economics classes, thinking, that sounds important. The money's a major thing in our society. Maybe I should learn about that. But my dad is a electrical engineer, and he kind of suggested, if you don't know what to study, why don't you just try engineering? See if you like it. I liked it, and then you can always change from there. And so I thought that made sense. I'll give it a shot. I needed to pick an engineering and a type of engineering, and I had a couple experiences that shaped that. One was while I was doing the whole biking thing, and kind of through high school, I'd been working as a bike mechanic at the local bike shop, Scotts Valley Cycle Sport, and I found it really interesting. I mean, I love the wrenching on the bikes and kind of the problem solving side of things, but I also got so excited each year when the bike manufacturers would come out with their new designs, and I just loved seeing how the designs would change and what they'd do differently, and how things got better. And so there's this kind of intrigue with the way that bikes were designed, and that was kind of coupled with this experience that I had when I was riding a lot, where one of my main sponsors, the sponsor that made the bike frames and some other big components, they actually came to me and they said, we're interested in designing a couple new bike frames, actually, and they wanted to see if I had any suggestions on how the designs should be laid out, any specific geometries that I'd like to see or features. And so I got to work with their engineers, their mechanical engineers, and it was a really cool experience because I kind of told them, from a non-technical side, what I liked. They kind of worked through it and came back with some technical drawings, all these dimensions and lines, and even some prototype ideas. And so we bounced ideas back and forth, and At some point, some frames showed up in the mail, and those were the first prototypes. I got to build them up and test them out. That was a ton of fun, and there were some issues with them, and I told that to them. They made some new versions, sent those back, and it was a really cool experience of kind of having some ideas, finding some issues with what was currently out there, and working to improve it and kind of solve a real problem with a tangible solution. So I really enjoyed the process, and that inspired me to pursue mechanical engineering. So I had a wonderful experience at Cabrillo. The engineering department felt like a family. It was easy to make friends, thankfully. There's a lot of great resources like the STEM Center. I'd say my biggest takeaway was that I really learned how to learn during those years. I felt the instruction was such that they really emphasized kind of the problem-solving process. They really taught ways to think about problems and approach problems that stuck with me through the rest of my education, and I still use today in my professional career. And so that was really impactful. I'm also really grateful that I got to participate in the Engineering Abroad program. There's a big group of us where we went down to Guatemala for 2 weeks to design and construct a water storage system. And that was an amazing experience on a number of different levels, as you can imagine. Culturally, it was very enriching. It was eye-opening to see the way that things are done in another part of the world. But I'd say my biggest takeaway there was that it really kind of showed me the notion of engineering as a helping profession. When we think helping professions, we usually think doctors, firefighters, social workers, and engineering seems kind of more of a technical profession, and it is, but it was really empowering seeing how this education that I was getting kind of had the capability of really positively impacting the lives of others. And so with that, I had this amazing experience at Cabrillo. It came time to transfer. Thankfully, I was accepted to San Jose State, where I did my bachelor's. And that was also a formative time. I attended this one seminar particularly that was on it was kind of depressing. It was about climate change and all these negative impacts, and but what really stuck with me was after all this kind of doom and gloom, the speaker said, this is a disaster, this is a crisis, but for engineers this is a playground. There's just a world of problems here that need solutions, and that really stuck with me, and it got me excited to kind of enter into that domain and explore the energy world. And so that shaped kind of the latter half of my my bachelor's degree, especially my senior project. That was one of my favorite projects I think I've gotten to work on. I think because it was just my first time where you're just kind of unleashed to work on a really big project that's open-ended. It's not a textbook problem with a correct answer in the back. It's you don't even know if there is a if the thing's going to work or what it's going to tell you. So with that, we excited about working on energy systems. We got to pick up a project where the sponsor was interested in seeing if you could kind of develop this hybrid wind energy and solar energy system. And so, could you add basically solar panels to a wind turbine and make a more efficient energy generation system? And so it was a lot of fun. It was the whole engineering process, from just doing initial research, learning about these technologies, doing some testing on individual components, doing a lot of brainstorming, a lot of decision matrices, evaluating ideas, and honing in on a final design, building it, improving it, testing it. It was really a neat experience, and unfortunately, it showed that particular concept didn't necessarily seem feasible, but it was the learning, that was really a great takeaway, and that shaped kind of my graduate school experience. I enjoyed the process so much that I was kind of inspired to kind of keep learning about energy systems through a master's degree at San Jose State. And so that was another 2 years. That was also a really enriching experience. What was really special about grad school in general is you get to totally design your curriculum. You're not given a laundry list of courses you have to take. You can kind of pick what you're interested in. And so thankfully I got to take a lot of neat classes. I got really into computational modeling and simulation, and especially in the energy systems domain. And I got to do a neat master's project on kind of evaluating the feasibility of powering public transit systems with solar energy. So that involved a lot of modeling and simulation in the solar domain, and I had a lot of fun with that. And so after that, I was grateful to accept a position at BAE Systems. They're a defense contractor, and I work as a modeling and simulation engineer on the thermal fluids team. And so my role there is to develop computational models and run a series of simulations and analyses to answer questions that other people have. So it's very enjoyable. I really like it. We're always using new tools. We're always faced with different scenarios, and so it's always different. And at the same time, I've been pursuing a PhD still in mechanical engineering at UC Davis. So that's been really great. I've been really enjoying diving deeper with the coursework and also the research that's involved. And specifically, I've been studying lithium-ion batteries, ways to diagnose the health using only non-invasive measurements like current and voltage. So ways to kind of improve battery management systems for electric vehicles and other devices. And so looking back on the ways that an engineering degree has impacted my life, a few things come to mind. I'd say the first is that I'm grateful to say that I enjoy my job. I find the work interesting, rewarding, fun sometimes, and of course there's always going to be those stressful days, but there's also those days where you kind of stop and think to yourself, wow, I get to do this for a living, and that's a special thing. Engineering can afford some comforts. I've mentioned earlier that I used to work as a bike mechanic, and I'd come home every day greasy and grimy, and so that was a big change for me to start working in a kind of a clean office environment and from home at times, and with a more flexible schedule. And finally, I'd say it's kind of opened up to the doors to do some traveling, through work, through school, be it business trips or academic conferences. And that's been neat too. It's taken me to a lot of places that I probably wouldn't have traveled to otherwise, and I found that to be enjoyable. So to leave some parting words here, maybe for prospective or current engineering students, I'd say really embrace your education. I know this is a really busy time and it's a stressful time, but it's also exciting, and there's a lot of neat opportunities and resources that you have access to. So I'd say use them. Dive into your field, learn about the parts that you really enjoy. Learn about those tools or topics or software that you always wanted to learn about or have an interest in. And I'd say really try to keep an open mind. I found numerous times where I thought I was kind of this type of engineer. I wanted to focus on these things, and I'd come across something else that I came to enjoy more. And another thing that stood out to me, I didn't really realize it going through school, was that a lot of these people, your classmates, your professors, instructors, they're going to be your colleagues in a few years. And so take the opportunity to connect and really embrace the people that you're around. And that'll build, one, a sense of community, which makes everything better, but also a robust professional network that will help you in your career.